So I'm going to rebalance. Now, why would I do that? Well, let's go to my website here at investwithoutbeingripped.com and go to performance and costs. And you'll see that the most recent end of month value is up 19% before costs. And after costs, after fees, costs, charges, it is up 17.37%. And that's up just since the 11th of May last year. So that's a year and a month. Now, bear in mind that the average long-term annual increase is about 6.1%, is roughly what you can expect if you're tracking, say, the shares in America, company shares in America, or company shares in the UK, or global shares. So I've tripled that. After costs, I've almost tripled that in just over a year. It's great, but that actually makes me nervous. It makes me worried, and I'm due for a rebalancing anyway. So what is a rebalancing? Well, let's go to the book. So in chapter 29, I talk about rebalancing, and all it is adjusting the allocations within my portfolio to make sure that they are still in line with my model portfolios. This is the latest update, and it's updated all the time on my premium website. These are the allocations I have for the tier 2, which is between £5,000 and £15,000. I have £11,000 in there. I started with 9,881 because I allowed 200 for cash, because that's what I do. I allow, well, in this case, not 110, but I've got more cash in there than that. The point being, it's grown a heck of a lot, and some things will have grown more than others. So the allocation to sovereign bonds might have grown or shrunk more than the others. And what we can see is that it's changed a fair amount in a year. So I want to make sure that I have roughly these allocations, because it's a higher risk portfolio. And this just makes sure that these all add up to 100%. So it's higher risk, and I want to make sure that these allocations here are still about right. So how do I do that? Well, let's just step back a second. How often do I rebalance? I rebalance annually. Now, as I say here, some people with large investment portfolios, more than £50,000, might prefer to do this more often. But for me, it just incurs fees, because you incur a fee whenever you trade, and it's also hassle. So I don't want to change too often, because I'm investing in fairly diverse funds that cover a lot of investments. So I don't need to keep chopping and changing. And I'm copying the average allocation of massive banks and investment firms who've put loads of research and analysis into this. 150 funds, as it happens. I've copied their allocations, and I've broken it down into lower risk, medium risk, higher risk, and income generating. So I'm taking a lot of their research and using it for free to copy and emulate their choices based on what they think is going to happen. And bearing in mind, this covers over £80 billion of investments. Now, generally speaking, I would rebalance once a year if my portfolio has deviated by 5% or more from the model portfolio that I'm following. And as a quick reminder, in this instance, that is the model portfolio that I'm emulating. However, and then I go on to explain that. In this instance, and so here you can see the model portfolio might have these allocations, and my portfolio might have these allocations, which overall are a little different. Right now, though, I'm worried, because my portfolio has grown so much in such a short space of time that I want to make sure I'm aligned still with what all the big banks and investment firms, on average, think is wise to have for the future, but doing what they think is wise for far, far lower fees than they would do it. So what I need to do, therefore, is log into my account where I have my portfolio and see what's going on there. So I've logged into my account and I've covered this in other videos, or will cover it. I have a lot more cash in this account than is currently invested. It's this set of investments that I'm interested in for this particular rebalancing exercise. So I can click on View Investments to look at what I have invested here, or I can go over here and go to Investments. Either one is fine. So let's click on that, go to Investments. And this is everything I have invested at the moment. And this is just the portfolio that I want to rebalance. Excuse me. So unhelpfully, I can't put these in order of the allocation classes that I want. So this is corporate bonds. This is the real estate fund, so it's the alternatives real estate. The next one down is global government bonds, and this one, well, I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. I didn't sneeze, right. And this one is the global shares. So I wouldn't have them in that order, and I will put them in the order I want in a moment. But for the time being, what I'm going to do is just download this information so I can play with it. So click the download, and I don't want a PDF, I want a CSV. And that's just a simple file that I can open in a spreadsheet such as Excel. So I click that and I wait for it to get there, and I happen to know it's this one. These two are files I downloaded earlier. So I'm clicking on this, and this is what it opens. So this is the file that's been downloaded, that I've downloaded, and it's got a whole load of information that I do not need. So I'm going to expand all of these out so I can see what they are, and the quick way of doing that is to select everything by clicking this top left hand box here, and then double clicking any one of these points where the pointer turns into that. So there, like that, double click, and it goes to the widest point. Quantity, I don't care. Price, I don't care. Daily gain and loss, don't care. Those can all right click and then delete. Market value, I only need one copy of market value. I do not need the book cost or the gain or loss or any of the other stuff here. So that can all go. Now, let's look at the list of things that I'm doing so you can see what I'm doing. So I've opened and downloaded the file. I have deleted the irrelevant numbers. Now I want to insert the asset classes. So I've kept the symbol because it sometimes makes it easier to find the fund that I'm looking for. But in this case, I'm just going to add asset class, and I'm going to just make that top row bold so I know it's a title. So ETF GDR, that is the global shares, and the global government bonds, that is obviously global government bonds or global sovereign bonds, the same thing. And the giveaway here is this RE, which means real estate. So that one is the alternatives real estate, and that one is clearly corporate bonds. So I've inserted them, but there's one missing, which I haven't included, and that is cash. And this doesn't include cash because it's not an investment. It's something I have not invested. Now, I've already looked at my account and I've seen that I have lots and lots of cash in there, but I want at least around £200 per portfolio to cover the annual costs. I know I have that, so I'm going to assume that I have £200 here, but this doesn't include that £200. So just to be clear, let's do this slightly differently and put the cash here and the £200 there, and then I can adjust this so that it includes the £200, but we'll do that in a second. So cash is the lowest risk, so I want to I've just right clicked here and then left click cut, and then right click there, insert cut cells. The next lowest risk is government bonds, so I cut, right click, insert cut cells. The next lowest risk is corporate bonds, cut and insert cut cells. Right, so this doesn't include the cash, so I'm going to add these together, which gives me, what do you know, £200 more, but it hasn't given me the decimal points, and I do want those. So under home, and then over here I can just click that to get the number of decimal points I want. So that can go because it doesn't include the cash amount. So I have now ordered them from low to high, and I have added £200 in cash. So the next, and just so you know how to do that, if you want to add a column or a selection together, you put in the equal, type sum, brackets, and then you can just select by dragging down those, then close the brackets, and that will give you the total. So now I want to insert model allocations by percentage. So this is the model allocation percentages, and this is £11,981 total including cash investment value, which means it is a tier 2 investment as far as I'm concerned, and you'll have this information if you've got the book, or indeed if you have access to the premium part of the website, which at the time of recording I haven't launched yet, but if you're watching this a little later then it might well be. So it's between £5,000 and £15,000 because the total, as we've just seen, is just below £12,000, and I happen to have a higher risk portfolio. So the cash allocation is 1.96%. So let's put that in. Cash is 1.96%. The global government bonds, that is 6 point, you can see here, global sovereign, well, that's government, sovereign, same thing, 6.29%. The global corporate bonds is 8.56. Global equity is 77.44. And the alternatives, 5.76%. That's that done. Now I have to calculate the portfolio allocations by percentage. In other words, my existing portfolio is these numbers, and I want to work out what the percentages are of the actual portfolio I have, so the market value that I currently have. So the way I do that is pretty straightforward. It is this amount divided by the total portfolio. It's as simple as that. And that I then, again under home, go over here to percentage, click on that, and it gives me 2%. I want 2 decimal places, so I click to 2 decimal places. And then I just repeat that for this as well. So that equals, nope, that's not what I do. So I hit Control Z to undo that. So that equals that divided by the total portfolio value, which is that. And let's actually write that down. Total portfolio market value. And we'll make that bold so that we know that that is a title. And this equals that divided by the total value. There are quicker ways of doing this with shortcuts. If you know them, that's great. If you don't, I'm doing this the long way to keep it relatively simple. And that one, by that, and then A quick way of formatting this is we go here, go to the Format Painter, click on that, and then drag that down, and it does that for everything. Hoorah! And just to make sure that this is correct, we're going to do a little sum of this lot. It should add up to 100%, and it does. Good. So that's that done. Now we need to insert model allocation minus actual allocation. So it's pretty straightforward. It's model that percentage minus actual portfolio. So it equals this minus that. And then just to do it more quickly, I'm going to mouse over this corner here where the pointer changes to that small cross and drag that down. So decide which ones have deviated enough to require action. That's less than 1%, so not applicable, it doesn't need any action. That's less than 1%, not applicable, it doesn't need any action. That one does, this one does, and that one does. So this one, I need to buy 1.86% more of corporate bonds. This one I need to sell 3.87% of global shares, and this one I need to buy 1.52% of the alternatives, which is real estate. So let's just stretch this out. So we've got that there. So that's what I need to do. So what I now need to do is work out how much of each I need to buy or sell in pounds. And that is a fairly straightforward calculation. It is equals that times, it's a weird symbol there, that's the symbol you use, that, the total portfolio value, which is £222.91. Call it £223, nearest damn it. And then it's this equals that times the total value, and this equals that times the total value. So I need to buy £223 of this, I need to sell £463 more or less of this, and I need to buy £183 more or less of this. Rather than buying before I sell, I'm actually going to sell £464 worth of this first, because then I have the money with which to buy these two. So I shall go to the global shares, which is the PRIW symbol, and it's the Amundi IS Prime Global ETF DRGBP. That's the one I'm going to go to, get a quote on selling £464 worth, then I'll go to the others and buy them. So we go to this website, we go to the PRIW, which is the Amundi IS Prime GBP, click on that, and I want to sell. And I want to sell, just make sure I get this right, you do not want to get this wrong, £464 worth. So I want to sell £464 worth. They won't let me sell precisely that amount, but let's see what I can sell. That's the quoted price, so 474, that's fine. I am okay with that. So I place that order. Order executed. Marvellous. So now I'm going to go back to my investments, and the next one I want to deal with, so that is 474 sold, which is fine. So I'm looking to buy about £223 worth of this one, the corporate bonds, buying £223 of corporate bonds. So we go to this one, and we see that that is the corporate bonds one, L&G ESG GBP corporate bond. Let's just make sure that that is indeed the correct thing. L&G GBP corporate bond, yep. And I want to buy £223 worth of that. So I want to buy more, and I want to buy 223. One final check to make sure I'm looking at the right amount. 223. Corporate bond. Yep. There we go. Get quote. Yes, I have read all of these documents already. If you haven't and you're doing this, then you should. So I'm going to confirm that I have, because I have. And I have this quote, which is 216. That's near as damn it. Place the order. Order executed. So I will now record that. So that's 216 bought. And now I want to buy about £183 worth of real estate alternatives. That one's pretty simple to remember. So we go to investments and we're looking for the real estate one, which is this one. And we go there, and sure enough, RE, real estate index. Yep, that's it. And make sure we know what we're doing. We are buying £183 worth. We're buying £183 worth. So we're buying more. I want the amount to be £183. Preview. And I have read these already, as you must if this is something you're going to do. Confirm. And I will confirm this. Now this one's a little different. So this is what will happen. This one's a bit different. It takes a day for the order to be sent, then they'll execute it, and then they'll complete it 5 or 6 days later. Why? Because it's a property fund and they're not as liquid, as in not as easy to buy and sell. So that's important. This order won't be completed as quickly, whereas the others will be completed very quickly. So the upshot of this is that I have now rebalanced my portfolio. So that, let's see what the order was I've put through. Let's see. So let's have a look at orders. And this is what I've put through. I've got 2 that have executed and 1 that is pending. So these 2 have gone through, £216 and 17 pence. Well, we can put the absolute correct numbers in now. So corporate bond, I have bought £216 and 17 pence. 216, 16 and 17 pence bought. And I have sold 474.16, 474.16, and I have placed an order. It hasn't completed yet because it's property and it's just a slower thing to go through. £183 precisely. Let's look at that. £183 precisely is the order that's gone through. What I get will be different from that in all likelihood, but that's fine. That's close enough. Okay, so that is my account rebalanced.